Common values, common goals, common sense. The Common Sense Podcast with Semi Bird.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Common Sense Podcast. This is your host, Semi Bird. This is episode 40. My goodness, where has the time gone? So today, my friends, we're going to be talking about liberalism versus conservatism. And I thought that this would be the right time to have this conversation. We just went through the primary elections. Washington State is in such a state of, I don't want to say disrepair, but despair, based on social, economical, political. Our environment right now is such that people are leaving our state by the truckload, and it seems to be more conservatives exiting our state than liberals, if you will. And most of you know I don't like to bring, a war between Democrats or Republicans or use labels, but there's times when you have to have those labels to distinguish or delineate between, different ideologies, different opinions. And there are times where it's called for. There's times when there's nothing wrong with it. So today we're going to do just that. We're going to have that discussion. So we are live streaming right now, coming to you from Richland, Washington in my studio. We're live streaming from YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, otherwise known as Twitter, and I'm sure I'm leaving Rumble and probably something else I'm forgetting, but we have on my computer screen, we have a chat window. We have several of our friends with us. Thank you, my friends, for tuning in. Thanks for joining us today. I appreciate you guys. And so on our chat window, we have a small window, and I want to take questions. I want to have a discussion. So today we didn't bring a guest on because I wanted to have this discussion with you. And maybe next week or the week following, we'll have a guest on. We will have a guest on. We're going to start doing more and more interviews because, again, we'll have different subjects, different topics, and topics that I want you to email me and let us know what you want to talk about. I want you to let us know what you want information on. We're going to be bringing on a county prosecutor, and we'll talk about law and order, and we'll talk about what's going on in our system, our justice system, or lack thereof. So I want you to participate. This program is going to be about you. This is not something where we try to blow people up. This is more about bringing truth, facts, and having open, honest discussion. I have this love of learning, and I've always cited the Socratic method of dialectic engagement. And what that really means is where we can have different professional opinions, where we bring information in and we dissect it, we discuss it, and we are objective about it. But often truth is in, opinion nowadays instead of being factual or scientific. And so I want to get back to objectivity, science, and fact. And we'll see how we do. But again, I am human. So get your questions ready. And when you send your questions in on chat, I'll be looking this way as well. Please make sure you put a lot of questions marked so I can't miss it. And if I've got family or dear friends tuning in, thank you. I love you. And if I miss you, just remember I love you. And I'll try not to miss anyone. But let's start off with this. Often liberals are referred to as progressives. I've used that term, progressives, and I think the real applicability for me when I use that term and have used it in the past, it's really regressives when I've used it, because when I use it, it's not in a favorable way. Whereas when progressivism, if you will, has started out in history, it was often seen as positive, progressing forward, moving things forward for the betterment of mankind. And for example, back in the day, the 1800s and 1900s, as our nation was growing and developing, progressivism used to be viewed as a good thing. I mean, at one point in time, progressive beliefs were about getting citizens more engaged in government. I believe it was the Seventh Amendment where we started to elect our senators, right? Directly from the people instead of having the legislature do it, if my history is on point. Progressivism was about bringing more evangelical beliefs into the forefront. It was more talking about moral ethos. That was progressivism back in the day, 1800s, 1900s. And then we get into the 21st century, and it started to transition. We started to get into these discussions of eugenics, right? Where we said birth control or sterilization, mostly on certain individuals or races that were deemed non-viable or valuable to society. And then you had the evolution into birth control, Planned Parenthood. Margaret Sanger, does anybody remember Margaret Sanger? One of the founders of Planned Parenthood, she herself a socialist, a progressive, then a socialist, an activist. Yeah. And then we know, well, Planned Parenthood is still with us today, and we know what that's about. It depends on who you talk to, but I'm just saying it factually. I'm not rendering an opinion. But many of you who know me, you know that I value life. That's my belief, right? But then you'll have others that'll say, well, no, Planned Parenthood is really about women's health care. Well, I support women's health care. I support women's rights. Son of a single mom, father of all daughters. But there's more to the story. So back to progressivism, that transition from engagement in government of citizens and moral ethos, it went to more Marxism and socialism, and then more social. So we then had this transition where the prominence of Republicans and Democrats started to really delve into different wings of progressivism, where both had claimed ownership of some of these progressive values, but then one party, primarily the Democrats, FDR, the New Deal. FDR grew government exponentially with these social programs to overcome the Great Depression. And then that was what the Democrat Party really delved in on, right? Social programs. And we became this welfare state, and government began to grow exponentially. And then the Republican Party kind of found itself with a couple different wings. Some held on to that social aspect of doing good for people, right? We were the party of abolition. We were the party of supporting women's rights. Remember, women's suffrage, which was part of that progressivism, women's suffrage and supporting women's rights. But then as we transitioned, Republicans began to be the party of smaller government, to say, as we progress into the 21st century, we are no longer really about the welfare state. We are about meritocracy. We are about individualism. We are about entrepreneurship. And the Republican Party started to become a party of fiscal responsibility, smaller government, meritocracy, and that all sounds good, right? It all sounds good. The 21st century, and the Democrat Party was about growing government, and the Democrat Party was about these social programs. But now I'm going to speak objectively, and many of you know me, and if you don't, that's okay. You'll get to know me. It sounds good. However, as the Republican Party was starting to distance themselves from these social programs, let us not forget, at the time of the turn of the 20th century, we were in the time of the 1950s and the 1960s. Yes, that's right. Civil rights and segregation was at the time. And so some of us would ask ourselves right now, today, what happened? Because during Reconstruction, post-Civil War, black folks were Republicans. Minorities in America were Republicans, strong, staunch Republicans. The first black legislators in Washington state were Republicans. What happened? Well, that's the lesson I'm bringing forward. I'm bringing forward a little history so that we understand. And so during that time, as Republicans were starting to redefine themselves, and remember, you had the Southern Democrats, and the Southern Democrats were known as the racists, the segregationists, right? And so they fought with the Northern Republicans politically, if I'm making sense. And then you had Reaganomics and the Reagan era, and some of you just saw that great, phenomenal movie on Ronald Reagan that just came out. And so Ronald Reagan came in, and Ronald Reagan brought a new definition to conservatism with a focus on fiscal conservative, as I was saying, fighting communism. Remember Gorbachev, Mr. Gorbachev, take down that wall. All these things were happening, different time in history, still distancing ourselves from that social welfare state programs. But now we're in the 1980s, right? We're not in the 1960s. And it is true. It was the Republican majority vote that enabled the Civil Rights Act to be passed. That is true, 100%. Thank goodness. But that was because the Republican Party was still in battle with the Southern Democrats. So I wanted to explain that, because as we're talking about liberalism and conservatism, it's hard to have that discussion without acknowledging or understanding, how did we get to where we're at right now? How did we get here? Because there's nuances. One of the things Ronald Reagan said or brought forward, and again, the 1980s, 2024 today, and you still hear people talk about this, the 80-20, right? The big tent, becoming a big tent. And I'm going to look to the left to check out messages and to welcome everybody over here. But I want us to start thinking, because this is going to be a discussion. I want to acknowledge what people are saying over here and have this discussion. But I want you to be thinking about this and jump in. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if you agree. Tell me what's going on. Right? We're doing this together. But it's worth having that discussion, I think. Oh, it's good to see you guys. God bless you. Thank you very much for tuning in, everybody. Thank you. I appreciate it. And so, no, someone said they heard that Jay Inslee was voted #1 real estate agent for Idaho. Chris, I heard that. Yeah, there's rumors that Jay is moving to Hayden, Idaho. I'm not sure that's true. Jay said that's not true. He said that publicly, and so again, you know, you want to take a person on face value, but well, we'll go with that. I appreciate everybody. You know, we are doing great. We're doing well. Thank you for that. And just want to check in and acknowledge everybody who's acknowledging me. And so someone said, actually, progressivism was originally about government regulating. No, this is good. Business and central banking. Oh, so no, this is good. And this is coming from, I want to make sure I'm reading this right. I get the mic adjusted so I can get over here and scooch and see this. And so this is from Towering, Inferno. What a cool name. Okay, I got you. So Towering Inferno, no, that was part of it. I mean, it was many things. And if you think about that, it was one of the good things, right? And so it was about, in order to regulate government, and that is true, you have to get more involved. You have to hold government accountable. That is 100% correct. You know, you are on point on that. So no argument there. No, we are not on odds with that. And then central banking, that is part of it. That gets a little bit deeper into that. But I'm going to agree with you on that. And I appreciate you participating. And keep going, you guys. Keep bringing it in. And our government today, and this is from Trudy. It's good seeing you, my dear. Good seeing you, beautiful human being. Trudy says, our government today doesn't care about we the people. They're only out to protect themselves and their power, a.k.a. the wealthy, and to exploit poor people. So, Trudy, this is brilliant. You know, and as questions build up, and I see you there, McMargo. Good seeing you. Brilliant. So here we are. And you saw Towering Inferno comment about government regulation, to hold government accountable. Oh my goodness, brothers and sisters, we can go back. We can go back to 1776 when we declared our independence from tyranny. And then, so stay with me for a minute and just pray for my wife, because she has to deal with this all the time. Even as our nation was about to be formed, when we were declaring our independence from tyranny, from monarchy, British rule, control. over individuals, were other wealthy, powerful, elite, the aristocracy at the time, right? The monarchy overstepped. They thought that they were the rulers over individuals, I will say, and many would say individuals' God-given rights. Many would say individuals' human rights. They thought that they had power over that, over those domains, and so hence they declared their independence and won that independence, thank goodness. And then now we're talking about, as this nation progressed through history, we had to do it again, sort of speak, to where you have these different belief systems that come into place that say we have to bring government accountable, government back into control. And it was we, the people, that needed to do that, to bring government accountability, to put eyes on our banking system, to put eyes on our government. Do you see what's happening? You guys see what I'm talking about? And now come back to here we are in Washington State. We've gone through too many administrations under a certain party rule, Jay Inslee's government administration, and that liberal rule, and we'll talk about liberal and conservative here in a minute as we're getting into this, but are you seeing the same pattern that I'm seeing? We the people, Trudy said it, and it's really, whether it's a monarchy of royalty or a government or any other form or wealthy or establishment, whatever we call them, the concept plays throughout time where certain individuals will overexert themselves or overstep their bounds. But that's what America, what a constitutional republic says could not happen, but yet it is happening. But how can that happen? It's when we, the people, step away from our responsibility. That's my assertion. Every single time. When we take eyes off the ball, when we step back and we give too much to the government, when we give too much, and whether we're giving it or not, whether it's implied, nonetheless, if we are not self-governing, see what happens. Am I making sense to anybody? Are you seeing what's happening? Because right now, we have a two-party rule. We have Democrats and we have Republicans. I mean, no disrespect to libertarians or any other party that people want to put on paper, but you have a two-party rule for the most part. And whether it's party control, do you think that a party serves the people, serves we the people as first inked on the Constitution of the United States in that preamble, we the people? Did you see anything in that Constitution or preamble about Democrat, Republican, or any other reference to any other organization? No. It only referenced we the people, every single individual with citizenship in the United States of America. That power was given to us through our legacy, our inheritance as citizens, and with citizenship. That's what I'm talking about. And so whether it's the wealthy, whether it's a political party, whether it's an organization or a group of rich men or women who think that they can control the outcomes of election or manipulate the system however they are doing it, or a government, you see what I'm saying? It comes back to one phrase, we the people. Trudy, you hit it on the head. If we are not self-governing, then we're going to bear the brunt, because there will always be someone to step up. And I'm not talking from our side. There will always be someone to step up to abuse and to put their thumb on the scales. That's my opinion. So let me get back over here and see what you guys got to say. I know, am I getting fired up? I don't know. I can never get fired up enough, I don't think. Of course, some people will probably try to call the police on me right now. I don't know. I'm not threatening anybody. All right. Trudy, no, thank you. And it's not just poor people. The middle class is being wiped out. They're wiping out the middle class They're wiping out the middle class. They're creating a new demographic of the impoverished, which I've said before, which are senior citizens, those who are disabled. I mean, we're used to minorities by an overwhelming number because of a wealth gap, right? Where that has been a statistical fact for too long, but now we're throwing the senior citizens in there that are becoming a new demographic in that mix. I mean, and now let me just jump ahead. Let me predict this already. Young people are now targeted because of bad leadership. I'm going to say bad organizational management. But again, we need to put a big mirror up when we start complaining about government. We need to put a big mirror up because it's we, the people, who own this nation. When I say own, you know what I'm saying. So, McMargo said, let me see. Can we still write you in? You know, Margot, as I've said before, and thank you. No, as we said, by law, I am out of the race. And so if you wrote my name in, it would be simply a protest vote. It would not count for anything. It would be a protest vote, and it would not count. So you could, or you could write Mickey Mouse, and it would have the same value. But I appreciate you thinking about me. Thank you. But no, I got you. A lot of people are not going to vote for the other individual. And God bless you, Chisa. Yes. You guys are amazing. And truly, God bless you guys. I appreciate you so much. There's a lot happening. Self-governance, Bob. That is what it is all about. And that is why my big mouth is still running. Right? I'm not running for any office, nor have I any plans to run for any office. But it's to continue to have these discussions, fellowship, to talk about common sense, to we the people to come in fellowship and have these discussions about the history of our nation, to have these discussions about, well, fellowship in a calling to self-govern. Because because they're not teaching civics in schools anymore, people don't realize what happened. I myself, for too long and for so long, you know, you get caught up in providing for your family and doing what you can to make your own way in this life. And it's been a while since I took civics, but a lot of people just don't know. I mean, a lot of people are saying, well, why are Democrats or others or young people saying Republicans are the party of racists? Why do they say that? Well, it goes back to what I was saying right here. When you think of that transition from the 19th to the 20th century, where Republicans were pulling away from social programs and Democrats were doubling down on social programs, it looked like Republicans don't care. And just this last June 19th, Juneteenth, an American holiday, a national holiday, which represents truly, and rightfully so, the true marking of the end of slavery in America. It's an American holiday. It's not a CRT holiday. And I too, before I was enlightened by historic fact, thought, oh God, this is just another Black Lives Matter, because that's when this came out. People said, oh, Juneteenth. No, it's not like any of that other nonsense. It's a real fact. But I was at the Juneteenth celebration, Jimi Hendrix Park, and a lady came up and said, you know, it is true, Democrats have been lying to us for decades. And I'm repeating myself intentionally. Democrats have been lying to us for decades, promising a whole lot and doing nothing. And Republicans don't really lie to us. They just don't give a damn about us. And I was like, dang. And not necessarily true, but when I asked for an explanation, she said, because, well, that's how it seems. You don't come to our communities. You don't engage with us. You don't have any discussions with us. I mean, you see it now with President Trump out there, right? But you don't usually see that. And so what she said, until she saw me out there doing some stuff. And I'm not the only one. There's one or two people that go out there every now and then. But you don't see it. So the perception is, and people are coming up thinking this, that's what happened back then, turn of the 20th century. And then we start focusing on smaller government, fiscal responsibility, big business and businesses, supporting small business. That's what Ronald Reagan did, supporting small business, fiscal conservatism, and social conservatism, focusing on family values, all good things. Social values, Christian values, that's what came out of the Reagan era, right? Good things, but not all things. And then you have that separation between liberalism and conservatism, Republicans, Democrats, which now many of us are going, well, I'm not a Republican, I'm a conservative. I'm not a Republican. How many of you out there consider yourself not a Republican, but a conservative? Or, well, I'm a Republican, but I'm a conservative. You see what I'm saying? A lot. More now than ever before, it's like even Republicans are isolating themselves from being Republicans. That is scary and a danger. Coming back over here for discussion to see what you guys are saying or thinking. Someone is saying, oh, and this is from Just Dave. And Just Dave says, I know Dave is not our first choice, but we have to unite. Screw Bob. No, and that's the Just Dave. That's the word. I mean, that's the word on the street. That's what everybody says. I've heard it. Plug your nose. Vote for Dave. Anything but Bob. I mean, lesser of two evils. You know what I'd like to hear is why we should vote for Dave. I'd like to hear policies. I'd like to hear solutions. I'd like to hear why we should not plug your nose, or he's not our first, not our second, not our third. He's all we got. I'd like to hear why. I mean, I'd like someone to get out there and, just a different mindset. I mean, earn the vote kind of a thing. So that's my thought, not my opinion. I think, well, that's my opinion. That's true. But that's what it comes down to. It's anything but Bob. That's okay. I think America deserves better. I think Washington deserves better. And for the future, do you think you deserve better? I say this objectively. And I think if we're being honest with one another, we need to have that discussion. Is it really about liberals or conservatives, Democrats versus Republicans? Or can we just talk as Americans, as citizens of the Washington state? Do we deserve better? Do we deserve candidates with qualifications? I mean, look at Sue Kill Peterson, who, as of yesterday, during the certification, I believe it was yesterday, lost the Commissioner of Lands race by, was the final count 51 votes, just by 51 votes. I've heard 48-51, but they said the elections were 99.90% of accuracy. I doubt that, but that's what they said. But she just narrowly lost. The most qualified, the only qualified person in that race, just lost by a handful of votes. And kudos to everyone. Talk about self-governance, who went out there, got out there, and cured ballots, who got out there and observed, who took their time to try to ensure that the count was accurate. But for 51 votes, it kind of makes you think, if you just poked the neighbor one more time, or just once to begin with, that would have been, wow, the right person would have got in. And I think there's a good chance she would have won. But then now I think it's pretty sound and solid that Jamie Herrera Butler is going to win. Sue was the endorsed candidate of the Washington State Republican Party. It makes you wonder how much that endorsement was worth it or not worth it. Really does. It really makes you wonder. But the most qualified person, a biologist, beautiful human being, beautiful. But she showed what we could do. And do not confuse Sue with any other candidate. uniquely a beautiful person, a qualified candidate, matching the right person to a position. We need to do that again. We need to bring qualified people and just do better. We can do this. We can do this. Self-governance. But you don't wait. If you're looking for 4 years down the road, start now. Don't wait. Don't wait. I remember when I started running for office, someone said, "Gosh, you're starting early." You are starting early, sir. Really? Or no, we were just waiting for someone from the establishment to select someone to put forward and put all their money behind, because that's really what it's about, right? Remember we said those aristocracies? Is that starting to come together now? It's money, right? Power, etc., etc. So we must do better. We must do better, right? And so Trudy says, I'm disappointed that more of your supporters aren't here, and that's okay, Trudy. It is okay. Hi, Dawn. Good seeing you, my friend. Dawn says she was picking the garden. That's good. No, we're living life. This is just us together, friends together in fellowship, hoping for a brighter and better future for Washington and for America. If it's 1, if it's 2, if it's 5, if it's 200, 2,000, 200,000, it starts with us. Did we send a share out to everyone we know? I don't know. Did you? I'm here. And we're going to continue to have fellowship and have these discussions and educate people. That's what this is about. We'll do our best. Civics, McMargo, 100%. It's still a requirement for graduation in Washington, isn't it? Well, there's different flavors, and it depends on which school district you're in. Now, LGBTQAI plus is a curriculum in Washington State curriculum right now in Washington State as of the law of last session that they passed. And we have a law that says we're supposed to be teaching morality and patriotism in Washington State. We have a law, an RCW, Revised Code of Washington, a law. But are we doing that? I served in the school board. I never heard of that law, ever, until I was running for office. And someone brought that to my attention. Never heard of it. I knew many other laws, but never heard of that. And they said, well, we don't teach CRT. Well, you call it a different name. So are they? Constitution. We have a law to teach the Constitution, meaning, well, we have a law that says we're supposed to acknowledge Constitution Day. And people say, well, we're doing that. Well, what specifically are you doing? So what they're getting away with is they raise the flag. Is that the Constitution? You get my point. So, no, we're not, in my opinion, fully satisfying the requirement, nor are we bringing the intended nature of the law or what would suffice as true civics in our education system. And most adults, I ran into people who said, oh, we had a primary? So a lot of work needs to be done. A lot of work needs to be done. And so, yes, a lot of work. Let's see what we have here. Lesser two evils, not voting. Yeah. Well, Robin, I agree. I agree. Oh, here we go. Karen, have you heard Supreme Court of the United States has ruled on the Brunson case, 2020 election was overturned, but not announced yet. The new election will take place. Would you consider running again? Yeah, Karen, right now I'm not even considering ever running for office. And so, no, and I hadn't heard about any overturning of elections. So I'll keep an eye out. No, and I have not. So I felt called the last time, and so only if called. So we'll see. But no, I have no thoughts. No thoughts. I would rather serve folks in any other way possible. Let me see. And so Tom says, I'm a registered Republican. Members of my family call me a conservative. I go by the title on my voter registration. Yeah. Tom, I'm a Republican. I've been my entire life. I'm a PCO, or at least I was. So someone else is elected. It's my wife. So she ran. And so now she's a PCO, so I'm stepping aside so as of the primary. So my wife is a new PCO, replaced me, precinct committee officer. I'm the chairman of my party in my county, and we'll see what our central committee says, whether I should continue to serve in that capacity or not. But I've been a Republican for a long time. But I'm a constitutional conservative, first and foremost. That is my belief. I'm more in line with President Washington and his farewell address. Based on what I've seen of parties, I'm a constitutionalist. And that's where my loyalty is to the Constitution of the United States of America, our nation, more than anything else, because there's a lot of corruption. And so that gets back to liberalism, conservatism. I read the platform for the Democrat Party of Washington State. I've read ours. I believe wholeheartedly in the Republican Party platform. Wholeheartedly. It's beautiful. Not so much in the Democrats. So I am a Republican based on that platform. But people are getting 80-20 in that. So here's another question while I look at more discussion here. Ronald Reagan used to say that 80-20. And basically the big tent idea, and I started to allude to it earlier, the idea that Ronald Reagan had was having a big tent, welcoming people in. And that sounds so wonderful. This is 1980. Welcoming people in. We agree with people 80% of the time. So why would you, kind of that idea, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, why would you isolate someone that you agree with them on 80% of the time and just say no because of something that falls in that 20% category? Now, I want you to think about this. And we go with these bigger statements on 80-20. But what if something that matters deeply to you is in that 20%? I mean, what to you is a showstopper? Some people would say life, abortion. Is that a showstopper? Some of you who say that you're a Republican would say, no, that's not a showstopper. Bring him in. Bring him in. Doesn't matter to me. Well, on the platform, it says we value the sanctity of life. So would that need to be in the 80%? You see what I'm saying? So when you say that big tent, what are you welcoming into your big tent? These are things that we need to consider. So when you start talking about lesser of two evils and plug your nose and all these different things, and this really isn't about this other individual. I'm talking about our party. I'm talking about conservatism, or whatever that means. Because to me, it's all a bunch of BS. The whole political, it's a smoke and mirrors thing. To me, it comes down to the Constitution and American values. We know the difference between right or wrong. But when we start compromising on that, that's where there's a problem. There's no big tent on compromising the Constitution of the United States as far as I'm concerned. There's no big tent on compromising parent values, parents' rights, or the innocence of our children. There's no compromising on that. On the other hand, I would say, I value a person's right to do whatever they want to as long as they don't compromise the innocence of children or the life of a child. I mean, that's me. That's Semi. I have a right to believe as I believe. So does a person have a right to believe as they believe. But where's that line? And people talk about a litmus test. I'm not trying to put me on anybody. But I think in America, my belief in American values is like, well, you cannot put you on me. I have a right to my beliefs. That's called liberty. So that 80-20, that big tent, what is to separate Democrats from Republicans? If you're going to have a party system, well, there has to be a delineation. There has to be a separation, I believe, or don't have one at all. It's that trick, right? It's the trickery. how much do you compromise? We've been compromising for way too long. And I don't want to be Mr. Rigid here. This is more discussion, but I guess that's the question. Where do you stand? Where do you compromise? Or do you hold your ground and protest and say, no, I'm not giving in. I want to send a clear signal to everybody to say, no, it's time we hold our ground. Period. If they can do it in 1776, I sure as the heck can do it now in a lot better situation. It's the least we can do. Oh, Sue's amazing. Lori, she's a beautiful human being. Sue Kill Peterson. Lori says she hadn't met her yet. She's a wonderful, wonderful human being. She is. If you ever meet her, she's just one of the sweetest people, and she's brilliant. That's what's neat. Humility, kindness, sweet. I mean, I don't know. Now I'm just bragging on the lady, but again, that's what she means to me. She's a dear, dear person. So it was easy voting for her. She had it all. I mean, brilliant, kindness, and but again, she's an inspiration. So it's nothing to feel sad about. Okay, yes, you do, for a moment. But then you look at the positive from this and go, if we can get within 51 votes of putting an amazing person like her in office, then we can do that for anybody. I mean, if we're willing to work hard. And then arguably, if we can see the corruption in our system, that would prevent, not Sue, but maybe for other candidates, that would prevent another candidate or candidates from getting in, or prevent another candidate from getting in because of money or this or that, well, then fix it. That's up to us, we the people. We have that power. That is what this is really about. We, the people, self-governance. We, as Bob said, self-governance. We have the power. This whole thing is about us. That's why I say the politics, the conservatism, the liberalism, the Democrat, Republican, that war, that's all BS. The reason I say that, it's because it comes down to we, the people. It's us. We are the magic. We are the factor. We are the decision makers. It's all up to us. And as someone says, well, where are your supporters? Well, it's up to them. It's up to us. That's what this is all about. And if we can wake more people up and realize that's where we win. I mean, but we have to first acknowledge it's just like being addicted to something. If you don't acknowledge that you have a problem, then you have a problem, because you'll never. It's like saying we're the silent majority. And if you don't pull your head out from wherever it is, then you just keep it wherever it is and keep yelling out silent majority, but everything around you is changing. And we did that, and then we realized what's happening in our schools. But look what had to happen. COVID. Look what they did to us. And we keep talking about compromising. Well, maybe he will, maybe he won't. Maybe she will, maybe she won't. Stop taking the chance and take a stand. No, we're going to keep going down. Someone said, Jojo, I love that. I always advise friends not to send money to the WSRP because it's so corrupt. It is a uniparty. Support the candidate. So I'm gonna say this. I don't want to insult anyone because I'm still a member. But I agree in terms of supporting candidates. I really do. If you find a candidate that you believe in, support them. 100%. We actually, as a show, as a program now, we got one of our first donations the other day, and so we're going to put that out here, probably on a post here tomorrow. How you guys can contribute. So we're revving up. We've been very slow. We've been taking our time, but we have some good things coming up, you guys. Some really good things, and we're excited about. But no, I agree 100%. And there, trust me on that. I am very disheartened, and like I said, the political system, it's terrible. It is terrible, and I will not. Being the nice person and not bringing harsh words or not calling names, that's not my style. But there's a time to say, you know what, call it out for what it is. Yeah, no, there's corruption. And I don't trust any of it on either side at all. At all. It's we the people and the Constitution and our flag in America. And then we the people. That's I'm going to say that a billion more times, you guys. Never enough. They're never enough. And Trudy, 100%, being patriotic, pro-American, has been demonized because, again, when we're not talking about it, then others are talking about something different. Think about that. When you sit there and you say the Republican Party is a party of racists, and then certain individuals come after me and then accuse me of playing the race card because I talk about race, or they attack me, can you see how that perception can come out? Or we don't go into communities and have discussions with different colors or different races. It's whether we are or we're not, and I don't believe that we are, for sure I don't. I know better because I've met so many beautiful people. Is there? Yes. Certain individuals, absolutely. But you get my point. We need to redefine the narrative. We need to demonstrate who we are. We used to do that. Remember what I said back in history? We changed what we focused on, but we stopped demonstrating that we cared. And so the Democrat Party appears as though that they care more about people while they're destroying people. People can see this. Remember what I talked about our Republican platform? We should be talking about those things in the platform. Bringing people over here, not taking us over there. That's why people use that word uniparty. What we stand for is beautiful. Protecting the innocence of a child. Who would not want that? Protecting the rights of a parent. To acknowledge parents as the primary stakeholders in their children's upbringing. Come on now, that's common sense. That's what I'm saying. We should be talking about that in all communities. Why are we not doing that? That's what I'm saying. So, that is America. All cultures, all colors, all religions, that's America. Freedom, liberty, independence, that's America. America is beautiful. So how is it that America can be demonized? How is it that we have a fraction of our young people willing to serve their nation? How does that happen? It's the psychological operation of the modern day regressives, socialists and Marxists that have turned our nation against itself. The political system is BS. You talk about Republicans and Democrats, conservatives and progressives. And again, I say, and I call BS and say and redirect you to the Constitution of the United States, American values. Talk about that flag, talk about our history, and unite around that. Do not unite around compromise. Unite around patriotism. Unite around America first. That's what we should be talking about. Unite around common sense principles and values. Can we not unite around that? I say, yes, we can. And it starts with we the people. That's what needs to happen. That is how we save this nation. We don't rely on a political party. We don't need a party to tell us what's right or what's wrong. You want to rely on somebody, rely on God. Rely on your family. But do not outsource your soul to anybody. I'm getting a little fired up here. And maybe a little sanctimonious. But I love my country. I believe in my country. I believe in that Constitution, that flag. Again, I'm going to say it over and over again. It means something to me. We the people means something to me. First and foremost in our Constitution. We the people of the United States. In order to form a more perfect union. Establish justice. Ensure domestic, you guys know where I'm going with this, right? Tranquility. Promote. Right? I could say the whole thing. We have to get back to teaching civics. We have to understand where we come from. We have to understand the greatness of America. Jojo, thank you. Have you ever considered a career in radio? We miss Rush. Rush was amazing. Rush Limbaugh. See, that's the beauty. So, and now, thank you. Just to think about Rush talking, and here I am in my little studio, in my little world with my friends, talking about my love of my country, my love of my state where I was raised, and believing in our future, and us talking about what I believe is important. That's what Rush did. And the man was a beautiful human being. But that's what he did. He brought people together. He brought truth and common sense in a world that made no sense. And so it's not really about, it's never been about me. But I would serve in any capacity. And Jojo, thank you for that. Yeah. And you talk about the media. I was telling someone, it's been wonderful being able to spend time with my family, but we were at a dear friend's the other day. We spent the Labor Day weekend with beautiful friends. Oh my gosh. I thank the Lord for my friends. So many beautiful people in our life. And I met so many beautiful people out there. Many of you there. Thank you for, I want to give that to God for giving me you. We were talking about a lot of the things we're talking about right now. But we were talking about what's happening in Washington State and what's needed for Washington State and how so many people are leaving and abandoning our state. And what do we do? Where do we go from here? Who's going to lead us? And I said, well, we need to lead ourselves. Well, then how are we going to do that? Well, we need to get back to common sense. Well, what does that mean? And I think this is what it means. I really do. I think it's us. It's us just having a conversation, once a week, every other week, just having a conversation and just talking about, again, what it is to be an American, what it is to feel good about waking up and knowing that we make a difference. Having hope, not buying into fear or relying on any one individual or any one organization, but having hope and faith. If I can play any small role in that, well, I'm honored to do that. I feel called to that. And so we'll see where it goes. We'll see how we do. Bob, I agree. I agree. I don't know what my future is going to be in terms of, I have thought about leaving the party more times than what they say you could shake a stick at. I know where that comes from, that aphorism, because of what I've seen. I mean, I was so naive until I start running, until I saw the corruption. It was so discouraging and disappointing. But then, it's not just, it's on both sides. You saw Robert Kennedy Jr. and what he went through with the media, right? Look at the media. Donald Trump, what he showed when he ran, and how they came after him, and how the media, what they do. And there was, whether it's Fox News or CNN, I'm just going to say this, the corruption, I'm going to hit you at a spiritual standpoint. I always say this, I don't serve according to the flesh of man, because the corruption, sin is real, evil is real, and it has permeated the media. If a person or something can be bought, there's a good chance it has been. And I saw it conservative media of Washington State. Oh, I see how that works out. So no, that's up to us. It's up to us. Oh, Matt G, love you back. Thank you. No, we do what we can. This is just as much about you guys as it is about me. This is fellowship. I mean, this is what we do. This is what we do. And 100% taking a stand. And it's 100% about making our nation great. Greater than it's ever been. Making Washington State. And I'm going to say it again. We can do this. So we have a few minutes left. And thank you, Jonathan. That means a lot. That means a lot. Thank you. Jonathan said that he's proud of me. Thank you. No, that means a lot, because I'm not going to change. I'm the same knucklehead that you saw running for office. That's the cool thing, I think. I don't change. And you'll see all the things people try to make me look like or what have you. And, it's better the proof in the pudding, so to speak. Well, now we have time. And so as that smoke dissipates and nothing to see there, because there never was, okay. There's a lot of people bought into that lie and the nonsense. But the calling wasn't always about an office or a position, but to bring clear, to disclose, and to bring clear for people to see the dirt, right? To reveal. I think we've done that. And so now it's time to bring unity around our belief in the Constitution in America and talk about the beauty of America, bringing people together that says, you know what, if you're Muslim, you're Hindu, you're Catholic, you're Jewish, you're Buddhist, we love you. We love everyone. You're American. Black, brown, white, you're American. We love America. We love you. Just like we've always talked about, we are about making America great, which is America first, which puts all American citizens first. There's nothing wrong with that, because we love our nation and we love our nation's people. And that's all of us. You see, can you understand why that is scary to some people? That if we unite and we come together in belief in our Constitution and the greatness of America, the beauty of America, what we truly are, who we truly are as a nation and as a people, can you see how frightening that would be for the establishment, for that wealthy aristocracy who wants control and power for them, when they know good and darn well that we, the people, were blessed. We're gifted that. That was a legacy from our founders and a gift from God. They are afraid to see us unite and come together in truth of what America really is, this beautiful nation, that shining. So that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to scan through and just see if we have any other thoughts. It's guys, we can do this. I'm going to keep saying that over and over again. All we have to do is stand strong. Michael, it's good seeing you, brother. Good seeing you standing strong, patriot. There's so many things that we can do. And while the big money has their grubby paws in corrupting our electoral system, have faith. Have faith. We're bringing something back. Save your time, save your money. It's going to be good. Common sense is coming. That's what we're bringing. 100%. Just scrolling through. I'm looking for questions because I do not want to miss anything. Guys, we have a couple minutes left, and I don't want to rush out. I've got a meeting tonight. We have a Republican meeting tonight. And so Matt asked if I'm working with Bill at all. So he is working. So Bill is the chair of the Election Integrity Committee for the Washington State Republican Party. I am mad, so not working with Bill. So Bill does that for the Washington State Republican Party, and he's got people all over the state. They have meetings on election integrity. What I'm working on doing, and I'm in discussion, I'm building a working group because I plan on bringing an initiative on election integrity, and I'm always about crawling to success and not running to failure. It's going to be an election integrity package of initiatives, which means, because it's one subject per initiative is how the law works. So it's got to be done right. So I'll let the party folks do what they do, but I'm taking a different route. So I'm always willing to work with anybody. I'll leave it at that. But no, I'm very familiar with Bill. And let's see what else we got going on here, you guys. Fletch, good seeing you. Good seeing you, my brother. I got some beautiful people here. All right, guys, look at all you guys. This is awesome. So we're getting ready to wind up. This is awesome. Now, thank you. So let's just say this in closing. Think about what you can do. Think about what you can do. I don't want you to get bogged down when you start talking about conservatism versus liberalism, because we had a lot of things to say. Those of us who are conservatives, we believe in the Constitution. We believe in family values. We believe in fiscal responsibility, meritocracy. All those things are American values. That's nothing new. It is nothing new. If you go back to the days of our founders and you look at that journey that they went through, and when they declared their independence, those values still hold true today. They were the exemplars of what we need to get back to. And if you read those founding documents, go to the Declaration of Independence. And just below where it has that section, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator to certain unalienable rights, which among them are life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. It speaks to the responsibility that we, the people, have in holding our government accountable when government ceases to do their job and initiates to step on our liberties and freedoms. It is up to us to take action. And what I believe that action is to self-govern. In modern times, it's for us to get more involved, more engaged, and find a way to bring people back to the truth that is America. And again, it starts with that Constitution and the belief that this is a constitutional republic. And the only way to maintain a constitutional republic is for the people to realize that they were gifted that responsibility and that power. If they understand that this nation belongs to them, that they are the pilots, they are the ones who navigate the destiny of this country, only we, the people, can save this nation, can save our state, then we cannot be afraid to take the action needed. And again, that action that is needed is just simply to be a part of waking our neighbors up, waking our families up to the truth, and not being afraid to take a stand. The days of compromise and capitulation are over. We can no longer do that. Because each time we take a little step, each time we plug our nose, each time we compromise, we lose a little bit of ourselves and a little bit more of our nation. And we have no more to give. So stand with me. I hope some of you will find it in your hearts to continue to support us, because we are going to do a lot more. And there's a lot more coming. So with that being said, I want to say thank you for your support. Thank you for tuning in. Spread the word. When we do our next announcement for our next podcast, I want you to spread the word to everyone. We're going to get more and more people coming on. It's going to be fun. We'll do some people remote. We'll do some people in person. But the conversations are going to get a little bit more spicy. We're going to have some opposing views in the show. It's going to be fun. So stay tuned. God bless. And it's always the right time for common sense. See you next week.